Hello, everyone, and welcome to the workshop, Region Boardmanship. I am Joan Wabnick, and I am currently a Field Support Coordinator for New York State PTA. I have experience on both the unit, council, and region levels, and I have served as a Region Director for 3 years. My position as Field Support Coordinator for New York State is that I work with Region Directors across the state. There are 4 field support coordinators, and we work together as what we call the field team. Andy?
Thanks, Joan. My name is Candy Dukowski. I am currently serving in my first year as field support coordinator. Before that, I was a region director for 3 years. I come from Western Region on the Lake Erie side of the state, as I call it. I started my PTA journey by being a movie night chairman. So since then, I have become our district treasurer and vice president and president. And within the region, I was also our education chair and an associate director prior to becoming region director. So I'm looking forward to this. I've loved the few months I've served so far as a field support coordinator. And it's fun working with Joan. We've gotten to know each other a little bit better. So I'm looking forward to this tonight.
There are 12 regions of New York State PTA, and they, of course, are organized to provide service to units and councils within their territory. New York State PTA divides the state geographically into regions, with each region having a region director, elected officers, and chairman. Each region has their own bylaws, just as New York State do, national does, and of course our local units and councils do. They abide by what is stated in the bylaws, the number of officers, the terms, the number of meetings. So most regions do not have what we call a vice president. We call them associate directors, okay? And they're also, the associate director is also, has a certain number of chairmen that they may work with as well. They have different assignments. And each region, of course, does it a little differently. Each year, the region has an annual meeting, which is a meeting at the end of the year, sometimes called Spring Conference. The membership in the region is represented by voting delegates from the units and councils. A quorum is stated in the region bylaws. And for example, it would be the number of members representing a certain number of units. Councils are usually represented by the president or alternate. At this meeting, they would have the election of their officers and any changes that to bylaws or election of general members of the nominating committee. Units and councils must be in good standing in order to send voting delegates. They must have, of course we know, updated bylaws, insurance. They must have filed their 990 tax returns, and they must at least have a minimum number of officers. And those officers would be president, treasurer, and secretary. And of course, entered those names into your member hub site. If any unit or council has difficulty with any of these items, they will reach out to their region, and the region will be able to assist them. Next. Region boards are its administrators, okay? The region director voices the interest of the units and councils within the region and shares information from the state PTA. I just want to say that we do have a monthly call with our designated officer, which is an officer that oversees the field team. So it is our region directors, our field support coordinators, and of course, our outreach coordinator. And your region director will bring forth any issues or anything that they would like to share about what is going on in their region. Okay, so and because the region PTA interprets national and New York State policies, procedures, and programs. They provide leadership training through conferences, workshops, and schools of instruction. So each region is able to decide what kind of leadership training is necessary, okay, and what they have to offer their units and councils. They also organize and charter units and councils. So there might be an area within their state, within their section of the state, that has a school district where there are no PTAs in that area. So we will go in, we will talk about the benefits of having a PTA, and we will charter. We will create bylaws for them, we will help them elect officers, and they will become part of our PTA team. And again, this is the map of New York State, which shows you all the regions. This map can be found on the New York State website as well as in the resource guides. So there are many units, and just because a unit, an area of the state seems larger, but may have less units, is because there may be less areas or less school districts that have a PTA. Nassau and Suffolk down here on Long Island are two of the largest regions, and they have over 300 units. Westchester might be the next, and then it varies throughout the state. But what we have share is a potential to serve all children across the state. Okay, next.
Okay, so I'm going to touch on the role of a region board member. And the first position we want to talk about are the assistant or the associate directors. The first thing to remember about the assistant and associate directors is their job is really to assist the region director, hence their name. They are typically assigned to maintain contact with units and councils within a region, and will confer with those units and councils on any concerns and help them resolve problems. So for instance, if there's an issue that a local unit might be having, that president or treasurer might contact the assistant or associate director and ask for their guidance on an issue. It is the responsibility of those assistant and associate directors to be knowledgeable about what is in the resource guide, to be able to help them and also be able to pull up their bylaws and help guide them as well in their governance. It is suggested, just an idea just off the cuff here, that the assigned units that are assigned to an assistant or associate director should not be their own local unit. And that is just to help make sure that any problems that might come up in their own local unit aren't brought to them directly, and instead actually do come before their board and their president, and allow the board to help work that out themselves before coming to a region board member. The next position would be your appointed chairs. Like I said, they're appointed. These are individuals who are there on your board to help perform specific tasks or focus on issues such as health and welfare, arts, family engagement, reading, environment, the education, and special education. These are very specialized areas, and these are people who serve as a resource for units and councils that should be knowledgeable in that area to which they are assigned. So for instance, a region may have a membership chair who focuses purely on the membership at local units and helping those local units reach their membership goals. We have a region reflections chair who will help the units with their reflections program. Different areas these chairs will focus on and serve as an area of expertise. Region PTA boards should be composed of experienced volunteers who were once unit and council leaders who understand PTA and the needs of today's volunteers. It's always important that we remember our local units and where we all came from and where we all started, whether it's, if we're just new to PTA this year or if we started years ago. It's so super important to remember those local units. All right, next we're going to talk about the responsibilities of a region board member. And a lot of these are the same as your local PTA. We often hear the joke when it comes to PTA about how when somebody has left the meeting to get up and visit the restroom, and they came back to the meeting to find out they had been elected treasurer of the unit. And we can joke about that, But ultimately, a region board member really should only accept a position if they are able to devote sufficient time and energy to doing the job thoroughly. Essentially, it's your responsibility to fulfill the role that you're saying yes to. Okay. It's also your responsibility to know and adhere to PTA philosophy, principles, and policies. You need to know that where we stand document and where PTA does stand on issues that are affecting our children, whether locally in your region or across the state or even nationally. It is your responsibility to meet deadlines by submitting reports and materials on time and fulfilling your assignments properly and promptly. Take initiative and responsibility for your own work. Basically, be responsible for your responsibilities. If you don't know how to do something, ask how to do something. If you can't do something, ask for help. And if you realize that the job is just not working out for you, have that conversation with your region director, and the two of you can work together to figure out how to make sure that everything still gets done. It's your responsibility to keep records and notes concerning the work that you do. This is not only a great reference for you for next year in your role, but also for your successor if as you have someone coming in to take over the position. And it's always your responsibility to have that fiduciary responsibility to your region, which is to always act in its best interest at all time. This is considered the standard of the highest care for the PTA. I love the word fiduciary. It's a fun word. It's kind of a tricky word to say, it kind of rolls right off the tongue. But what it means is that you are always acting in the best interest at all times for a PTA. At the region level, your responsibilities are to attend and assist at region events. Essentially, it does not always fall on the back of the region director to do everything. You're there to assist her or him at your events. You're responsible for presenting workshops and trainings for the units and council members. Remember, we said that our chair people they serve in their area of expertise. So we want you to share the expertise with those units and council members and train them. We want you to also do that by writing articles for your region newsletter or website. Again, it's about sharing your knowledge and sharing what you know. Maintain a current list of contacts relevant to your position. If you're the region membership chair, make sure you know who all of your unit and council membership chairs are. If you're the reflections chair at the region, make sure you know who the unit and council reflections chairperson is at all of those local levels. And also attend New York State PTA and national PTA events as the region budget will allow. These always provide a great opportunity for training to help move you along and further your knowledge. And it's something that you can then pass on to the local unit and councils as you gain that knowledge. Okay, Joan.
Okay. Everyone on the region board is accountable. Okay. Remember that there is no I in team. And we is certainly more important than me. Okay. You must have a willingness to learn, okay, and ability to effectively communicate. You want to have a desire to share knowledge with others. So these are skills that your region director and the executive officers will look when appointing chair people. Be prepared to be a good listener, because sometimes you will be talking with units and members of units who are having some difficulty getting along, or maybe they're looking for information. So be able to listen and try to decipher exactly what you think that they are looking for. If you do not know the answer, that's okay. I think we've talked about this before, okay? But respond and say, yes, I've heard your question and I will get back to you. And then return their call in a timely manner. You can also reach out to the region director if you do not know the answer. You can reach out to other chair people if you do not know the answer. And of course, there's always the New York State PTA resource guide. Okay. And then when you call them back, point to information and where you found it. Remember what it was like when you became involved in PTA and how you felt when you were looking for information. Our local members are learning from our region board members because our region board members have the skills and knowledge necessary. Take the time to educate your members and keep the lines of communication open. Thank you.
Okay, and as Joan just mentioned, communication is so important as a region board member. I know with New York State PTA, we have kind of a 24-hour rule where we respond to emails. We look at our emails once a day, if not more. I look at them a lot. And we always want to respond within 24 hours. Even if you have to get back to them with the answer because you may not know it right then, at least acknowledge that you did receive the email and you will be getting back to them. Always make sure to keep your associate director and your region director alerted to any potential problems. They don't like to be surprised, and they don't want to be surprised if somebody contacts them and they weren't aware of the issue beforehand. So definitely keep them informed, and anytime a potential problem comes up, just let them know. Give them the heads up. When you're communicating with the local units and councils, a lot of times they're going to ask you questions that the answer will probably be in their resource guide. So always feel free to just include the reference to that section in the resource guide when appropriate. And that will give them the information where they might be able to find additional answers at a future date. The resource guide, as we know, is a valuable tool. And anytime we can pull that out and encourage our local units and councils to really pull from that resource, that's assisting them and helping them be better leaders as well. All right, and we also want to talk social media, which can be very tricky. As we know, we are living in an incredibly digital and electronic age right now, and social media is a huge part of everyone's lives. The pros are we can build relationships across social media. We can share our expertise and we can increase our visibility. New York State PTA has just recently created a local leaders Facebook page. So if you haven't found that, you can go to Facebook and look for that and join that conversation. There are all great things that your region PTA can put on social media, including highlighting what some of your local units and councils might be doing. Social media can be a good thing. The cons are, sometimes you have to be prepared for some feedback that you might get. So you certainly want to make sure you're prepared to respond adequately. You want to make sure you're using social media properly. And that includes not trash talking other people and thinking before you post. Remember, as a PTA board member, we're going to use that word again, you have a fiduciary responsibility to always act in the best interest of the association. And sometimes navigating between our professional PTA lives with our personal social media can be very tricky. So again, never trash talk other people and think before you post. Write your post and walk away. Sometimes you have to delete it and start over. It's what I call the lather, rinse, repeat concept. And sometimes it takes a couple of times through before you get the right wording, and then you can hit that post button.
So true, Candy.
As I say, never be afraid of a delete button. Okay.
So as we wrap up today, we thank you for attending. We know that it is very exciting to be part of the Region Board and to have contact and to work with all of your unit members within your region. Remember to attend New York State events, leadership training, encourage that leadership training throughout your region, and work with all your members. They are looking for information and looking for your help, and that's what we're there for.
And hopefully we've been able to answer some of your questions in the chat box tonight. But if you have additional questions, or if maybe we might have missed one, our email addresses are here. You are welcome to email us with those questions, and we'll be happy to answer those for you. Just
Thank
want
you.
to thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you at an event soon.